came through the front door. Ask me if I should overcome. What for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Ain't no challenge for champions and chain no fear.
What an amazing day it is to be alive. I'm really grateful to be back. Did you miss me, by the way? Did you miss me? I missed you. I did. I missed you like crazy. It was a bummer. So yesterday, I'm always psyched for Mondays. I know that a lot of people aren't. They're like, oh, it's the Mondays. It's the Mondays. I don't like Monday. I do. I like Monday. I like Sunday too. I like Saturday. In fact, I like all the days. I mean, that's just the way it is. Although I am bummed out on Friday. I'm bummed out because it's when I have to say goodbye to you guys for a couple days. And it bums me out. And this weekend, I had all these plans. And, they, I don't know, fell through. They fell through big time. Your boy here, it's what happens when you make progress, right? It's what happens when you succeed at things and you start doing a lot better in life and you start seeing the fruit of your labor, because what ends up happening is the schedule ends up going bonker town, completely bonkers. And you end up having all these different things you have to do and all these different places you got to go and stuff like that, people you got to see. And I had a plan. And it was going to be that I was going to record the unlisted video for the comments. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. I've got all of the comments that I'm going to talk about, and we're going to add the comments today to that video, or just make another one. It doesn't matter, however we want to do it. But I wasn't able to do it because Friday, while I was planning to make a video, I got invited to an event. And so I coordinated with my co-host of Paleo Cheese, Chad Lutsky, talked to him and said, hey, man, do you mind if we maybe don't do the video and we do it a different time? And he's like, yeah, it's no problem at all. It's no problem at all, man. We can go ahead and do that. And the thing is that when we decided to do that, I go upstairs to tell my wife, and she goes, remember, you got that sleep study tonight with your son, Ambrose. I'm like, what? No. And so I had a sleep study, had to do that. And that was an interesting ordeal. And then on top of that, Saturday, what did we do on Saturday? We went to a friend's house, right? So I did the sleep study with Ambrose. And then on Saturday, we went to somebody's house outside of town. So that was interesting. And then outside of that, on Sunday, we ended up not only having church, we went to Hastings and we went to go see Adam and Bethany Heikela. It was Adam's birthday. I think he turned what, man? Like, the guy, I think he's about 25 years old. I forget how old he is, man. I don't know how old he is, but he had a birthday. So we went to the birthday. And then on Monday, I'm thinking, okay, finally, I'm going to be able to do something on Monday. So I was going to do it. And I chipped my tooth. It's not cracked, though, but I chipped it. And so I was bummed out about it. So I had to go to the dentist in the morning. And then as I'm getting ready to finally make the video, I'm like, finally, I'm going to be able to make this video and it's going to be great. And lo and behold, guess what happens? Oh, I don't know. I realized that I was supposed to edit the episode of Paleo Cheese and have it published on Sunday night. Didn't do it. And so look, guys, I've learned something. And what I've learned is that the harder you work, the more you're pushing, right? The better you're doing. All this progress and everything else, you end up having a lot of things that you need to organize. And you got to take kind of a little bit of time off a little bit, right? You have to really think it through and say like, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be successful? And at the same time, have all of the, my time that I have with my family and everything else. So I've got a lot of thinking to do, folks. I got a lot of thinking to do, but you know what I've done? I've done enough thinking out loud so far. We got to move on. We have to move on because you know what? There is a bunch of awesome stuff going on here. So, all right, we're going to go right away. Over to the news. Okay, let me go ahead and put the chat screen up. Got to do this because I got to let everybody know. Like we always do. That we're broadcasting right now over 18 different channels. Okay, so there's 18 channels bumping right now at the exact same time. And super excited about that. And no matter where you are, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Periscope, doesn't matter. If you're watching this program live, if you're watching it live, then you can comment. The thing is, though, you have to understand, I'm not going to be talking in real time to you today. We've been doing that where we create a separate video. We highlight the comments that we want to talk about, which frees you up to, frees me up, makes the time a little bit shorter. Well, it's taking out a long way. Makes the time a little bit shorter. So we stick around 2 hours and have a lot of fun for 2 hours. And then later, I make an unlisted video that you can find at paleocratdiaries.com, where I will engage with each of your questions. We highlight the question on the screen, and that way we can kind of go, pass over ones that maybe trolls sometimes, although I will deal with them sometimes. I'll deal with them sometimes. I don't mind that. But it minimizes that, okay? Minimizes it. But that way, look, if you want your comment to be highlighted and discussed in the unlisted post-show Q&A super show at paleocratdiaries.com, if you want that, you got to make it good. You got to make it good. Okay, like for example, slaying cows, not very sensitive to cultural sensitivities to our Hindu brothers. Yeah, it's not. Neither is the fact that I'm on a keto diet and I like eating carnivore diet. and to be really frank, it's one of those things where, I have sympathies and I have sensibilities. I can respect where people are in life and everything, but I'm also really strict about certain policies that, if someone's asking for food to help starving people and in their video promoting that, they're individuals surrounded by tons of cows all over the place, I'm not entirely sure they need my money. I think they need a missionary. Somebody over there saying, look, I will do this. We're going to send the missionary. Maybe it's both. Maybe they need the bowl of rice and oatmeal, but they also need to kill that cow. They need to eat it because they're starving to death and they're surrounded by cows. And so it's the way it goes, man, the way it goes. But yeah, Leon. So Leon's comment, that's the kind of comment that we would talk about. James Marone says, from one black guy to another, you're pretty late. Oh, what? You're going to get me canceled, dude. People are going to be like, this guy's not black. Oh, dude, yeah. I am a little bit late. A little eatsy, man. Not too badly. Not too badly, okay? So, let's see here. All right. Back to this. Tommy says, Jesus Christ says, heaven and earth shall pass away. My word will not. Totally true. Street Parker, good morning. Wolfpack, good morning to you. Same thing with Brian. Both of you. I've missed both of you. I have. I've missed you like crazy. All right, here. I don't know how to read that one. It probably says something good. Norbert Denny's probably says something fantastic. It's a lot of gobbledygook to me. I have no clue, but I guess I could put it in the translator. It seems right there. I mean, I know you see Jesus Christus. You see that, right? Jesus. So wherever they spell Jesus with a Z, not entirely sure, man. Not entirely sure. VC Earth says Jack and Joe went up the hill, so Jack could. Well, okay, yeah. Not gonna do that. Not gonna talk about that. But you say nice mic. You said nice mic. Look, man, it is a nice mic, isn't it? It is. It's one of those things, man. I got an AKG, man. I don't know many people that'll use these, and it's kind of weird if you ask me. It's kind of weird. I've always viewed it like it's one of those things where, it works really good, and most people don't use them in this way. They use, different mics that they've got, a lot of USB mics and stuff. This one goes into an interface. High powered, man. High powered. A lot of people use them for, backup vocals, lead vocals, things like that. Instruments, you can plug in instruments to this type thing. And so it's definitely love it. And I just stuck with it. I said, I really like it, man. I like it a lot. So, all right. Let's go real quick here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give you a little hint about something. Check this out. Okay. See what's coming up? Do you see that? I'm gonna turn that one off and see if that changes anything. Because for some reason, man, it's doing that whole disco light thing, so it's freezing up a little itsy bit. But check it out. You got Paleocrat Diaries, the Paleocrat, Joe Pacillo from the front line with Joe and Joe. He's gonna be with us here in about half an hour. So we're gonna talk to him then. So all right, we're gonna talk about these funny stories. Before we do, we have to make sure, before we move forward, make sure that you know a little bit about what's going on here. First of all, we have a poll. The poll is the militarization of D.C. and state capitals around the U.S. are, and there are 4 options. Number 1, like Biden's historic landslide victory, they're entirely reasonable, totally necessary, and 100% legit. Oh, man, yeah, right. Okay, number 2, a false flag intended to scare, divide, neutralize, and even criminalize Trump supporters. Proof that Trump has already enacted martial law and is about to unleash the Kraken. Unnecessary but ultimately harmless overreaction to January 6th. So those 4 right there, you can vote not only in the comment section, but you can also find me over at Paleocrat Diaries at Telegram. I've started posting there because, man, I ain't messing around with Facebook, dude. I ain't messing around. Facebook is doing some shenanigans. So is YouTube. Facebook was like, oh, we've restricted your ability to create groups and events. I don't do that. I don't do that. I haven't created a group since like 2015, and I haven't created, or 2014 maybe. I haven't created an event since maybe 2013. I'm like, so it's entirely a profile, dude. Entirely a profile. And they removed a video of mine too. Facebook did. And then YouTube is doing some shenanigans. Like if anytime I'm trying to go to it, it's like, well, there's weird activity on your site. No, there's not. I'm not hacked. There's no indication that we're hacked. No notification that we're hacked. And by the way, I got to say this. With Facebook, 0 violations. None. No violations. No violations sent to me. Nothing like that. Just restricted. And I'm like, no, I think I know what that's about. I think I know what that's about, you freaking scumbags. That's the way that goes. That's the way that goes. So, all right. But if you want to go ahead and follow us at Paleocrat Diaries, you can do that. There's even a page, a group. So that is the Paleocrat Wolfpack. I think that's what it's called. Paleocrat Wolfpack. And you can find that over at Telegram. So if you're not there, make sure to check it out. I'm going to be posting there pretty regularly. It's where I get a lot of the news anyway. So, all right. So that's the poll. Make sure to comment in the comment section. You can go ahead and do that. A whole bunch of fun. All right. Let's see here. Make sure to go to paleocratdiaries.com. We're still, I wasn't even able to do working on the website over the weekend. I was so busy. There was no way. So even the website and trying to put everything together, couldn't do that either. It was a real big bummer. But you can go over to Zazzle. I think it's Zazzle.com. Look up Paleocrat Diaries. We've got all of these different mugs here. Each one of these mugs, by the way, they have that logo. And I think that they have the new logo option as well. I think, where I'm screaming into the microphone. It's more along the lines of what, I actually do. And so not as much the cry face. My mom hates that one too. But you can get it in all different sizes, jumbo, espresso, bone china, all that. Tons of fun. It's got all the details for that. Of course, you can put it in the microwave. You can put it in the dishwasher. No problem. And we've got a whole bunch of other things as well. We had, 3 different sweatshirts bought. Someone bought sweatshirts over the weekend. Some of these, they're fantastic, well put together. A little bit pricey. I mentioned that last week. At the same time, they're made in the United States. And above and beyond that, they are the amount that we make from those things goes toward our children's education, just like everything that we receive on the show. And if you want to donate to the show and you don't want to just do a shirt or anything like that, or a keychain or magnet, whatever, and you want to just donate big bucks, of course you can do that. We'll never turn down the big bucks. And you can do that by sending it to paypal.me/Paleocrat. paypal.me/Paleocrat. It's all right. Moving on. We got to crank this stuff out now, guys. Got to crank it out. So, and if you got any funny stories, make sure to send it to me. I have a couple that people sent me that I'm actually going to have to work on, because the music, I can't play it, and it's not fun without the music. And so I have to put some kind of a music with that to make some kind of a video out of it. But okay, so you can send it to me. You can do that at paleocratdiaries@gmail.com, or of course send it on Messenger, any of the social media platforms where you can find me. All right. All right, what's that? Oh, yeah, okay. This is a shot of my coffee in the morning. It's the old cat. It's the cat with the nuke. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel. That's what it shows up as every single day in my coffee. That's exactly. Well, what's the weirdest shape, by the way, that's ever happened in your coffee? What's the weirdest shape? And keep it clean, okay? Come on now. Keep it clean. You got to do that. Don't be a sicko. What's this? I'm like taking it seriously. I'm like, oh, here's somebody who's going to do some amazing punches, blah, whatever. Okay, we got to see this again. Hold on. Some of this stuff, you don't expect it. You don't really know what's coming. And so it's kind of like, well, what exactly is this? Let's go ahead and see. So here's a girl. The girl is doing, some kind of fancy thing. Maybe she's trying to get into the Guinness Book. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. I've seen dumber stuff. Well, I don't know. Well, yeah, okay. The Guinness Book guy where he's blindfolded and he's got his buddy on the ground and he's using a big club or something and he's breaking coconuts all around him. That kind of a thing. They were talking about it being something to do with a ninja. Oh, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And by the way, Marlene Benton, blah, 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 nothing is said. We laugh in the morning, by the way, for 10 minutes. You're the kind of person that's like, well, why aren't you talking about something really serious right now? Do you wake up in the morning, you weirdo, and turn it on right away, right in the morning, and you're like, I want to watch the most mind-bending, mind-numbing, hair-on-fire conspiracy thing right out of the gate. It sets the tempo for my day. Weirdo! You are a weirdo! Oh, my gosh. What's wrong with you, Marlene? What's wrong with you? And by the way, just so you know, at 11:45, we have Joe Pacillo coming on from Frontline with Joe and Joe, and we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of amazing stuff, really crazy nonsense going on with the new law in Virginia having to do with boys not being boys and girls not being girls, and apparently we can just mix it up in bathrooms and crap. And then after that, we're going to talk about Catholic Imperium. We're going to talk deep dive history, news, political science, political economy, culture, civilizational cycles. Man, slow down. Slow down, Toots. There's no reason to get in a rush. Can't you just take your time? Can't you take your time, girl? Is it really that rough? Is it really that tough to just laugh a minute? Sorry, guys. There's nothing being said. Oh, man. Well, you know what? You want to talk about something serious? How about this one? Because that's what you're like when you talk to me that way. Here we go. One more time. Here we go. I gotcha. I have too much fun spinning people like dreidels. Man, come on now. Come on now. Come on. All right. Okay. Another funny story real quick. Moving along. What's this guy all about? What's this guy all about here? Okay. So, hey, friend, you misgendered me. Oh, come on, dude. All right. So I wanted to create these cards for an easier way to correct people who misgender me in public. Okay. I don't know. The back gently encourages people to use neutral language with customers. Neutral? So I can't say bro? Oh, come on now. Come on now. Okay, and look at this. Also, it allows me to feel like I'm staying safe while not having to out myself particularly. Nor give a lesson in Gender 101 to strangers. You know what's crazy? If you came up to me with that kind of a thing, I'd be like, dude, you're an ableist. You're assuming I can read. You ableist bigot! Ableist bigot. Well, how do you know I'm not dyslexic? Hey, Fred. You misgendered me, miss. When I'd be like, what? I'm a dude. And you're like, no. And I'd be like, bro, you're making all sorts of assumptions, homie. All sorts of assumptions. Totally messed up. Oh, yeah, what's this thing? Hold on a second. Okay, a guy skateboarding. Dude, no. No. Okay, no. Dude. All right, sometimes people send me stuff that's just the worst. Sometimes people send me stuff that is just outrageous. I don't know why they do this. I don't know why they think this is funny. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. It's infuriating. It's infuriating. So, okay, we got to see it again. Here we go. So, all right. And stop sending me this crap. Stop sending me this stuff. I don't need to deal with it, okay? I don't want to deal with it. I don't need to deal with it. You're grossing me out. I get the gag reflex thing going every single time. You send me stuff about spiders, people eating spiders, mukbanging spiders. Just a lot of messed up crap. Snakes coming in the toilets, like just, also traumatizing stuff. TikTok videos. It's like you guys just don't know how to control yourselves. Very disrespectful. Very, very disrespectful. Okay, we got to watch this again. We got to laugh. So, okay, a guy's on a skateboard. He's very heavy, maybe 400 pounds. Foot on the ground. Dude, yeah, his leg just shin just snaps, man. It just snaps. He's done. He's toast. Oh, his leg's like all waving around. He's on the ground saying, "Call the cops! Call the ambulance real fast!" He's like, oh. But people are puking. But people watching like, just totally gagging all over the place. It's unbelievable. What would you do? Have you ever been in a situation like that where some dude, is having a good time and he's a buddy of yours? I mean, he looks like he's a fun dude, right? He looks like he's a fun guy. And so he's out there, he's skateboarding, he's maybe 400 pounds or so, something like that. But he's having fun, right? So he goes and he's doing a rail slide. And next thing you know, his leg falls off the side of it and he plants his foot and his body keeps moving. It's just got that whole thing going on. I mean, it's what happens. It is what happens in this world. You find yourself in that position. You find yourself, unable to stop that way. It's going to break some bones. And that dude is definitely regretting. He should, look, he's going to have a lot of regret no matter what. No matter what. But he should regret the idea that he's even allowed himself to that place where he's gotten so big. I mean, that's just one of the things, man. It's just one of the things. He's got to regret it. Okay, so this is another video. Apparently this one's got words, so we're able to follow this one here. Let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and see which one this one is.
Every time you eat an ice cream cone, you have paid somebody to rape a mother cow.
What?
Force her to be pregnant against her will without consent. Taken
Without
her baby
consent?
boys away, killed them for veal, and stolen her milk.
Holy cow! Did you just... Yeah, holy cow! Did you hear this? Okay, by the way, just for the podcast audience, people who are listening on the podcast over at holyfaithmedia.com, the thing is, man, it's got this lady, what does it say, mother teacher vegan or some crap? She is definitely looking, she looks like she'd be doing this kind of crap. But she's talking about how apparently, if you're eating ice cream and stuff like that, you're basically raping a cow. I mean, it's like no different. It's no different. It's like, okay, so you see a person eating ice cream, and that person, when that lady sees it, it's like, those banned videos where people are doing really wicked things to animals, from the backside and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's not the same. If it was the same, does she call the cops? Does she call the cops? Is she like, look, there's a person right now raping a cow? Because, dude, if a person was really raping a cow, like for real, it would be illegal. I mean, it would be illegal to even share videos of yourself eating ice cream. Some people would just be like mass rapists. Like, that's what they would do. We had a guy who wasn't in the comment section, was it last month, saying that lost a bunch of weight going on an ice cream diet. Don't know how it worked. I don't encourage that with anybody. But at the same time, like, give me a break. And she's saying with the cow, without the cow's consent. What, are you going to give it a quill? Pull out some parchment and say, here, sign your name, Mr. Cow. Mrs. Cow, Mr. Cow. What are you going to do? How would she even know? She's a magic crystal ball person. Let's hear it again, man. Let's hear it again. We got to do this. And look at the people. They're just shoving it in her face. They're shoving it in her face,
Every time you eat an ice cream cone, you have paid somebody to rape a mother cow, force her to be pregnant against her will without consent, taken her baby boys away, killed them for veal, and stolen her milk.
See, she treats it like the veal thing is a You know, like you kill them for veal, and it's like you kill them to eat them. You kill, and it's what I don't get about, you know, Christian vegans that are vegan on principle. Like, I understand the opposition to certain things, like, you know, the farms, right? I understand that. You know, let me get this thing out here. This thing's like glowing green. What the heck, dude? I'm glowing green a little bit. I don't understand what this thing's all about. So, okay. The thing is, like, I understand that. You know, I'm all for, like, small farming and stuff. I'm very bothered by the fact that Bill Gates owns more farmland than basically anybody else in the United States. Okay, that really bothers me. At the same time, I don't think that you have to go from that conclusion to the idea of, well, I'm against corporate farming and the way that certain corporate things deal with animals and the way they treat them and whatnot, to don't ever eat any kind of meat or any animal product. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so, yeah, I don't buy that at all. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you about that. And so, you know, it's one of those things. But it's just the fact that if that was the case, if Christian veganism was just theologically true and binding in any way, you know, it would be a weird thing for God to demand, you know, people eat meat, for example, or even permit it. You know, but in the Old Testament to say this was actually required. You know, you'd have to, it talked about how to get rid of the meat and how to get rid of the fat and what you had to do with it and, you know, everything else. I mean, it was very elaborate. But the idea that you weren't going to eat meat, I mean, come on, give me a break. You know, that's a very, very curious idea that's kind of imposed upon Christianity. And to me, it makes no sense. People have wanted me to bring on, what's her name? Lizzie Answers. People have wanted me to bring on Lizzie Answers to talk about it. And maybe I will, because I'm going to, you know, doing videos and stuff, doing these videos here. So, okay. All right. Now, remember, if you have any really funny content, you have things you want to share with us, we always try to start our day with that. Okay. We always try to start our day with that because, you know, as much as we love the seriousness of everything, at the same time, we believe that we have to laugh. We believe we have to have a smile on our face. In fact, we have a basic motto here, don't we? A basic motto. We have certain slogans, certain ideas that we live by and that we'll die by, in fact. And what that is, it's really simple. Never give up, keep on smiling, and memento mori. Remember that you're going to die. And we resolve that every day, don't we? We rejoice every single day in the day that the Lord has made. We're grateful for it. We're grateful that we opened our eyes. We didn't ask for it, and we're so grateful that we do. And we're sad and scared even that one day we won't. But we should be relieved. Not relieved to get out of this world. I know people who are like, I just want out. I'm like, well, not really. Not really. Do you really hate little puppies? Do you really hate cooing babies? Do you really hate love? Do you really hate the fact? I mean, if Jesus loved us enough that he came to die and he was in incarnation, he could have done it without it. You know, in the grand scheme of God, I mean, the idea, he chose that this was the way it was going to work. This was the way. And that would include him coming down in space and time into this world, taking on flesh, being born of a virgin. And that through him, we renew the natural order. It's part of it. It's why, you know, we talked about the prophecies in the Old Testament. In our conversation about why we howl at the sun, S-O-N. Why do we do that? The renewal of the natural order. We're not, this show isn't just sitting here saying, well, let's just, talk about salvation and stuff. That is essential. That's important. We talk about that. At the same time, we have a social theory. We have a cultural theory. We have ideas that we believe can play a dynamic role in the restoration of all things in Jesus Christ, in Christ the King. And so we believe that. And that's why every day we get our coffee ready. And I hope your coffee is ready. I hope your coffee is ready, because just in a moment, I'm going to be adding my boy here in a moment. Yeah, okay, got him on here. Yeah, we'll have to hold on. I'm gonna mute him here for a second. All right. So I got Joe. He's waiting in the waiting room over there, right? What do we call it, man? They call it the green room. What do they call it? And so yeah, it's a green room. So okay, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do the Wolfpack song. We're gonna come right back as soon as we come back from the Wolfpack song. Okay, and we howl at the sun and raise our glass high. As soon as we do that, we're going to be on with Joe Pacillo from the front line with Joe and Joe. We're gonna have an amazing conversation. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just one moment.
Love this video? What a coincidence! I do too! Now head on over to PaleocratDiaries.com for more videos, blogs, book and movie reviews, even Team Tiny Dancer stuff. And don't forget to check out our new members and services pages. It's how I pay for my kids to attend Catholic school. Until next time, Memento Mori.
All right, everybody, you know what time it is right now. So I hope you got that coffee ready. I don't care if it's coffee. I don't care if it's wine. I don't care if it's beer. Dude, wherever you are in the world. Okay? We got people listening all over the place. I don't care if it's milk. I do care a little bit if it's water, but I make an exception. If you got food, corn on the cob, burgers, doesn't matter. Bowl of rice, raise it to the sky, because it's time to rejoice and be glad for the day that the Lord has made. Here we go. I'm glad you're along for the ride, everybody. We're going to rock it out. Remember, never give up. Keep on smiling. And memento mori. All right, here we go. To the dome. Yeah, boy. Happy birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Adam. Let's dance. Let's rock. Let's go. Right now. I love you guys. I love you guys. Best show. Come on. Everything you got. No fear. No shame. Christ the King. There we go. Look at that. Dude. Man, I'm so pumped up. You guys, every single day, think about it. Every single day, just to be pumped up, man. Excited for life. Excited for life, man. So here we go. Look, got to get to this interview. Got to get to the Zoom screen. And there's my man, Joe Pacillo, from the front line with Joe and Joe. Dude, it's good to see you, my man.
Good to see you, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, I see a picture of you. I see a picture of you, but I don't see you. Is it supposed to be that way?
Yes. I got my camera off. So well, you know what?
Oh,
I
okay.
wonder if I can. Well, yeah. Let's keep that off. So I apologize. You're gonna have to treat it, man, like we're on a phone, I guess. Right. So
all right.
Bummer about that. But first of all, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a while,
welcome.
man. You were on what 2-3 weeks ago, and we were thinking about doing more, and it just got to be one of those things here where it was like, well, I put my camera on for you that way you can see my face.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm hoping it didn't change it. All right. So, but it'd been like 3 weeks, man, and it bummed me out because the plan was that we would have you on more regularly, and we had such a good time, but things got busy. It got kind of crazy. And so it's really, really great to have you back, buddy.
Oh, it's great. No, it's great to be back. And it is going to be more on a regular basis. It's like one of those things, life gets in the way. I'm dealing, primarily with, not knowing what's going on with New York and opening up the restaurants. Because I'm in the hospitality business in New York City. So Cuomo says one thing one day, another thing the next. So there was a few things to deal with and just some personal stuff. So I was like, all right, let me get my head clear. Let's go into the new year. And I spoke to Joe Resinello, who's my partner in crime at the front line with Joe and Joe. And he works days, I work nights. So I have my days free. And I was like, listen, I got to get back on with Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
I said, because we were supposed to be doing it more regularly. And as you said, we dropped off. Well, I'm going to be here at least a couple times this week if you'll have me. All right. And what I did was I actually thinking about something that might be good to talk about on your show, because obviously we're on the same team. We're on the same page. Okay. So a lot of times on our show, we don't get to all the things we want to talk about. And it's great because then I could take some of those things that I think still need to be talked about, but we didn't have the time to do it. Okay. And I come on here and let your audience know about some of the atrocities going on out there that they're definitely going to be interested in. So moving forward, hopefully I'll be on later in the week, which should be no problem if you'll have me. And then at least a couple times a week. And then, start to ramp up from there, which would be great.
Oh, totally, man. Totally. Now, real quick, I want to show people because they may not know. They may not know about Joe and Joe. So I'm going to put it on. Hold on here. I'm gonna make sure that I've got this this video. Let me see if it's a full screen or not. So give me 1 second.
Joe Pasillo.
There we go. Okay. It's a quick shot. It's like I had to make sure, man, it was going to work. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and play this video for people. That way they can get a feel for this, because I've said, we've had you on. I said you're with the front line with Joe and Joe, but I said, I got to get this promo. It's amazing. I don't know what you guys use or who did that for you, but I love the quality, the production of this promo that you've got, the music. I mean, it's
our mutual friend. It's our mutual friend did that for us.
Okay, well,
put that together.
Yeah, okay. So it's our
mutual friend up in Canada.
Yeah, our mutual buddy in Canada. The powers that be. It's what we call him here. So
I got
it. Yeah, he's the powers that be. So we're gonna have to go ahead. I'm gonna have to twist his arm a little bit because I'm telling you, it's a powerful video. Just the quality, the different transitions and stuff in it. So I want people to get an idea for who you are. For the other Joe, right? Both Joes, and to get a sense for the tone and the feel. So we're going to go ahead and play this real quick, and as soon as we're done, we're right back with Joe Pasillo.
Joe Pasillo and Joe Resinello.
So as Joe and I always say, the left is teeing it up. Today's no exception.
Taking this down, are they not haters?
I think they might be listening to the front line with Joe and Joe.
Should be. And once more, dear friends, we are going way into the breach.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the front line with Joe and Joe. Joe Pasillo and Joe Resinello. And we got a great conversation for you tonight because there's a lot of nonsense, as always.
And we have made America great again.
Where's the woke media when it comes to that?
Our conversation is your conversation, and that conversation is going on everywhere.
Powerful, bro. It's so powerful. I don't know what song that is either, man, but that's the kind of thing that makes you want to go outside and do a Rocky maneuver where you're just like running, with that whole Eye of the Tiger feel, you know what I mean?
Then get to the top of the stairs and start going, yeah!
Isn't it? I mean, just like, it sounds like those trumpets, dun, dun, dun. It's like majestic, dude, and powerful. It's militant, and I absolutely love it. You have a really great show, really great thing going on. So it's an honor to have you on. But you wanted to talk, man, here for the next 10, 15 minutes or so. You wanted to talk about this article. You brought it to my attention. I had not seen it, okay? And so give us a little idea real quick about this whole plan that Virginia has for all public schools and with boys and girls and sleepovers and the whole 9 yards, the whole shebang.
The thing to understand, because all of our stories, Jeremiah, that we cover are usually in the context of what's going on, let's say on a larger scale. And then we give the examples, in different places of what exactly, yes, they are the enemy, what it is that they're doing. And your viewers will understand how these people have made themselves our enemy, and you'll understand why. So the larger context is beware of the first 100 days of the Biden regime, because the first thing, and Joe, in my opinion, is going to be the Equality Act. Mm-hmm. It won't be taxes, even though it might be. It won't be environmentalism, even though it might be. Central to their plan is using the LGBT rage mob as their proxy warriors in this culture war, okay? So one of the first things you're gonna see is the Equality Act, which is better known as the Christian Persecution Act, because that's what it's going to be, okay? It is the Christian Persecution Act, and it is the Usurping of Parental Rights Act. That's what that's going to be. And they're going to frame the narrative that if you're against the Equality Act, then you're against equality. And if you're against equality, then you're a hater. So, and then you're going to have all the nefarious things that they're going to put in there that are really going to persecute us. And we're Christians, so we understand that persecution may come our way. This particular story takes place in Virginia, okay? And I came across the article when I was looking in the Federalist. Now, keep in mind, one of the ways that we could start taking back the narrative is start taking back our language, okay? And stop letting them make villains out of people who are not villains. So in this case, in this article that was written by Casey Chalk, I'm not sure if he's a revert to the faith or he's been a Catholic his whole life, but he talked about the syllabus of errors. Okay,
Yes.
so it's Pope Pius IX, and it gets blasted. I remember when I was a kid and I first heard the syllabus of errors. This is the most nefarious thing. No, it's actually about what I've said on the show. Not only is the syllabus of errors a valuable tool, we need to bring it back and we need to add to it.
Amen.
Okay.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong.
Totally, 100%.
There's nothing wrong with telling the faithful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the church is supposed to do. The church is supposed to say, if you hold this idea, okay, this is an error.
Yes.
The church is supposed to correct our errors. And in this particular case,
And that was a whole
Among the- I'll give you-
list
I'll give you a
of them.
quote.
That was a whole, I mean,
among the errors,
yeah.
Pope Pius. Oh no, there's a ton of against modernism, against relativism, against all of it. The syllabus of errors is a very, very valuable tool. Unfortunately, in the hierarchy right now, they let the left and the atheists and the godless bully us into not keeping the syllabus of errors, which is timeless. The errors contained in there are timeless. They recur over and over again throughout history. Okay, so no, that's a document of the church that not only needs to be preserved, needs to be brought back. We need to bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay? So, so Pius IX assailed in the document, and this is when he strongly condemned the belief that, now here's the thing, quote, all public institutes intended for instruction on the education of youth should be fully subjected to the civil and political power at the pleasure of the rulers and according to the standard of the prevalent opinions of the age. That's an error. Okay, absolutely not. The educational institutions need to be guided, as all things in this world, by the church,
Yeah.
by the moral law.
And
Okay?
basically,
So
he's talking public school. I mean, essentially, not necessarily. He's talking about schools that aren't just public, but that they are fully subjected to it, to the political power,
Right.
the pleasure of the rulers, according to the standard of prevalent opinion of the age. So not according to a normative, objective, traditional standard that doesn't change on a whim of whatever the positions are of society at the time, but is rooted and anchored in the Christian faith and the truth
Right.
of our faith.
Exactly, and so it's obviously, as we all of us know, okay, that this is an error. You don't have to be Catholic to understand this. That's the beautiful part about it, okay, and that's the beautiful part about the Catholic Church in general. You don't have to be Catholic to understand where the church is going. If you're a Protestant or a Jew, okay, do you want to subject your child, in this particular case, the school you're sending your child to the whims of the culture at that time, or to the whims of the rulers or the kings, or in this case, the regime that's coming in, I guess, tomorrow? No, the answer is no, that you have to be anchored and grounded in the moral law and the natural law and in the teachings of the church, okay? Because remember, Catholic means universal. So that's what he's railing against. Now, having said all that, okay, then you got to get into the nitty gritty. So you got the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Mhm.
I don't know what they're drinking down there. I don't know what they're smoking, Jeremiah. They're
Yeah.
doing something down there. Once a solidly red state, I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on.
And
not
isn't that the
matters
thing
much.
too about this, is that you've got these weird things happening in places that even 10 years ago, you would have never imagined. Like, if someone told me, oh, this is going to come out of somewhere in the United States, I wouldn't have been like, oh, Virginia.
You'd have been
would
like
have
New
been
York.
way down. Yeah, man, like California, something like that. But Virginia and even Georgia, look at the weirdness of Georgia, And so
Right.
you sit
No,
there and you
it-
say, what a
exactly.
weird paradigm shift that's going on, and to see this Virginia leading the way on this. But tell us some of the things within the policy that they're putting forward. Give us some of those details, man.
Yeah. You have, this is what's called, the name of it is Model Policies for the Treatment of Transgender Students in Virginia Public Schools. Okay. Now, I would just think in my mind that transgender kids should just be like everybody else, You can't allow bullying. You can't pick on them. You can't unjustly discriminate against them. They want rights. Remember, these are all super rights that they want. They don't want the rights that everybody else has. That's not enough for the LGBT rage mob, okay? They want their own rights, and rights that you and me and your audience, okay, we all have to be subjected to, and we all have to make sure that we provide them these so-called rights. So here's just a couple of examples, and this is in Prince William Manassas Family Alliance. This is what they note. Number one, failure to use. Now you got to catch this stuff, man. You got to catch this stuff. Failure to use transgender students' preferred pronoun could subject teachers or students to disciplinary action. That means if my kid, when I have kids, my wife and I are in the process of trying to adopt kids. So when my kid goes to school, if my kid misgenders, and again, that's a construct. That's not a real word. Okay, that's a leftist construct. If my kid misgenders a student, a transgender student, my kid could be subject to disciplinary actions. Now, if I have a 6-year-old who basically, can see a boy in front of them, even though the boy is dressed as a girl, and call him he, my child, my son, could be in a lot of trouble for that. So that's number one.
Which is so messed up, because can you imagine how this could be used for malicious and vengeful things? To say, like, if you look like a dude and you're just, you're sitting there and you decide, well, I'm going to be, this is going to be what my preferred pronoun is, and you don't like somebody, you could literally, and you could use that against them. And if you changed it and said, well, later on, you're like, well, no, I don't really go by that anymore. Would people even be able to complain and say, we can't just change that? I'd say, based on what? I mean, you can make them up. So you can come in and out of it. Like, where do you get these rules from? What kind of Cracker Jacks box you pulling
They're made up.
Yeah, they made it up.
They're made up.
They're making up the rules as they go. Where do they find the standard for this stuff? Yeah.
There is none, because at the end of the day, what they do is they say, okay, there's all these genders, all right? And Joe Biden himself said there's at least 3, so I'm sure we have to listen to him. There's all these genders, a couple hundred genders, or whatever the case may be. But remember, this is where that's nefarious in and of itself. But the real nefarious part is then they turn around and underneath it all, they say, but gender is fluid. You know what that means is that's designed to keep you guys, you guys and me and Joe and all the rest of us off guard. If you want to be called she, and I respect you, okay, and I call you she, that means tomorrow if I refer to you as she, okay, you could turn around and say, well, I'm fluid. Today I'm he again. See, the whole idea is meant to confuse and disrupt and to anger people. Angering people is a big part of this. Let me give you an example. Because you'll understand what I'm talking about. You're going to tell me what kind of parent is not going to what kind of parent is not going to get angry at this. Remember, these are violent Marxists. They want a violent response. They create these things and craft these things to try to evince a violent response from you, so they can say, aha, look at that hater right there. He punched me in the face. So again, but here's a good one. Schools should help students make decisions about gender identity, catch this, without parents being informed.
Yeah.
Without parents being, now if I'm a father,
yeah,
and my kid comes home and tells me some of this stuff, now my initial gut reaction, if I'm not a Roman Catholic, is to go down to that school the next day and knock that teacher out.
Yeah, man.
If they're bigger, if it's a bigger person, if it's a bigger guy than me, then knock him out with a lead pipe. All right. And if it's a small woman, give her a backhand. No, it's not. Again, we don't do that. We're not doing that. We don't advocate that.
Yeah, taking the gauntlet out. Blam! Touche! Blam! Yeah, no, I hear you though.
How do we let them? Yeah. How do we let them get away with this? Without parental consent, that means you're going to tell my 5-year-old son that he could be a girl. And by the way, hide it from me.
I was just talking about this, Joe, just last week, because somebody brought up, we need to, a person that I respect, because it was in the comment videos that I do, in the post-show Q&A super show that we do, and brought up the idea that we need to basically infiltrate the schools and start changing stuff. And I'm a cynic about that. I said it's gotten to the point, the conditions are different. Like when the Marxists and them, when they all kind of got in there and began manipulating it, we were still kind of basically at the place of the church house, right? We're the church, the schoolhouse at the church. I said there were a lot of these places. They were smaller. They didn't have the managerial a paradigm shift yet where it was this mega complex bureaucratic thing, a Leviathan. But I said over time, especially when they got in and all the changes, it's gotten to the point where even the language we use, that and it's supposed to have legal bearing, the idea of in loco parentis, you're in place of the parent. That idea is not that you replace them, but that you are standing in for them because your authority comes from them. So if they say, well, we can do this and we don't have to tell you, that's basically saying I've divorced the parent and I'm sufficient in and of myself as a different, it's almost like a stepdad. It's not that we've commissioned somebody to stand in our stead to represent us while we're there and our interests, but it's almost like, well, you're with me out of school and you're with stepdad over there during school, and we just got different morals and values, but he has his sphere of sovereign authority, and I guess so do I when I have my time. And I said, that's crazy. I said, and how do we change that? But it's amazing, the idea that you don't need to tell the parents about this. But they do need, they might have to report parents if the kid says they feel neglected, or they risk abuse or neglect if their parents aren't supportive.
Right. You're an abusive parent if you don't support this gender ideology being imposed on your child. Remember, a child below the age of 8 is below the age of reason. They don't know what's going on. They look at the teacher and they trust the teacher. They hopefully look at the parent, they trust the parent. And their job, what they're trying to do is create confusion. Now, I think one of the things that's important, because, again, one thing Joe and I try to do on the show, Jeremiah, is remember that, it's one thing to bitch about these things, and we're going to keep bitching about these things. But like you said, what do you do about it? Most states in America are red. And when I say red, I hope your audience understands, I'm not looking to the Republicans for anything. I never really have. I mean, I did to a degree and I voted Republican. I probably will in the future, but I'm not hanging my hopes on them having any sort of a backbone. But most of these state legislatures in the United States, 29 of them, they are red. They are conservative, and they are supposedly and are Republican. Those states need to tell the federal government to kick rocks. Mm-hmm. Those states need to tell the federal government, you're not taking any more of our money for the federal Department of Education. We are taking care of the education in our own state. And then within those states, the people have to work with their state legislators to go to their respective capitals to say they want to apply what we would call applying the principle of subsidiarity even more. So take it away from the federal, bring it to the state, but then the people in their individual municipalities, towns, cities, and counties need to then take the power away from the state. New Jersey is a perfect example. New Jersey is a mostly red state, but we're a blue state because of Newark, Philadelphia, Newark, Trenton, and Camden, and Atlantic City. Those are solidly blue, and they basically control the politics of the state. The state itself is basically a red state. If every one of those counties that's red, okay, which is right through the middle of the state, they all said and held their state legislators accountable and said, you're going to go to Trenton and you're going to give us back the power over our education system. We don't want federal standards. We don't want state standards. We'll create our own standards for our kids, because that's the way it used to be. That's the way it used to be. And kids were much better educated, by the way. Education is not going to suffer under what I'm talking about. It's going to thrive. But this is what they want, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
This stuff here is what they want. In other words, because, I mean, we could go on for hours about it, how it fits into the whole Marxist web. So number one is destroying your rights as a parent, usurping your rights as a parent. That's on one level. On the other is confusing the kid, particularly along the lines of gender, and creating confusion so that they kind of grow up that way, so that they basically grow up to be confused sexually. All right, maybe become a homosexual or a lesbian or transgender. Michael Jones says all the time, goes, the oligarchs are using these people, the whole LGBT crowd, whatever L or G or B or T you fall under, are using them all as proxy warriors. In the culture war, if they understood that they're being used and manipulated, maybe they'd have a different tune, but they don't understand it because, they have some issues. Okay, so they're being completely used. And they're gaining this power, and then they're, like I said, it's so evil because I don't have the right to tell you what to do with your child, particularly in the public school system. I have no right to do that. But they say, they basically say, yes, you do. Our teachers could tell your children what we want them to learn, and you have nothing to say about it. But we're going to continue to make you pay for it. That's even more evil. that I got to pay for this nonsense too, through property taxes and everything else.
Yeah.
So people are very smart. Right? They're very smart and they know exactly what they're doing. And there's two things that really defeat them. Obviously, staying close to Jesus Christ and looking for supernatural help, praying every day to beat the enemy on all these fronts and to be able to fight the good fight. Okay. And the other thing is we have to grow some stones. We have to start acting.
Some
we have
cojones,
to take time to watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, I don't have the time. I work. You don't have the time to go and tell the teacher down at the school board. In other words, go to the meeting, go to the PTA meeting and tell the teachers, you teach this to my son again. If you teach this to my son again, I'm going to sue you. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to beat the living crap out of you. Me and the rest of the fathers in this town are going to come here and we'll blow the school up. Now, again, I'm being a bit hyperbolic. I'm not recommending.
You're using that metaphorically.
Okay?
We don't want people going, oh my gosh, dude, he's talking about going and getting the bomb.
Okay, but can I tell you one thing hopeful though?
Yeah.
When people step up, Joe brought it up the other day on the show, is that in Cupertino, California, parents did fight back.
Yeah.
What specific issue, but the parents organized and went down and they fought back against something similar to this and they won.
I saw something similar to that, man, over something where it was actually Muslims and it was at one of the schools in England and they were wanting to change the rules that would make it so that changing the girls' attire and where they wouldn't have to, and they weren't wearing like burqas, they were just wearing skirts. Okay, the idea of them wearing skirts, having modest apparel, and instead it was like they could wear these really short shorts and they could wear pants that were tight and everything and kind of mix it up. Well, the parents said no. They were standing outside the gate every single day for hours and hours and hours, and I believe they won. But they had to keep that pressure on all the time. And see, I'm a cynic, man, about public schools. I just am. I talked about it last week. I said I think that you reach a point where we can say this all day long and say, well, you're supposed to represent me. And they'll say, well, that's quaint, and pat us on the head. And you say, well, that's the law. And they go, that's even quainter than that. And they pat us and rub us and go, shoo, shoo, bye-bye. And there's very little we can do. And I said, even if we try to do something at a local level, the managerial state has gotten so big that most of these battles aren't even fought at the local level. We're told that they do. But they're actually state and national at this point.
You're right, but Jeremiah, that's why in this country, particularly on a local level, we have to stop looking at the R or the D after somebody's name that's running for office. We need to go to their town hall meetings. First of all, we need to know when these elections are taking place, particularly when it comes to the school boards. We need to know what our rights are, if we have any. We don't know. New Jersey passes laws in the middle of the night that we don't know about. We don't know if we have any power to do this, but I will say this. We need to, on a local level, a local and state level, we need to start electing people that we go and look at right in the face. Are you going to, like in our case, are you going to go to Trenton? Are you going to do something about this? Well, and if they give you the political answer saying, you're out. What about you? You want to be our state legislator. What about you? Are you going to go there and you're going to do this? Are you going to rally with other people of like mind and start to break these rules that you're imposing on us? Are you going to start to do something to break the stranglehold? Why does the teachers union have any say over what the curriculum is? Why? The union's supposed to be there to just protect the teachers, jobs, vacation pay, sick days, decent package, pay, benefits package. Why do they have any say in the curriculum? The unions. They should have zero. Shut your mouth. Go over there. You have no right to chime in on this. They've made education. I've said this before on the show, Jeremiah. I think you and your viewers will agree with me. One of the central top 3 fronts in the culture war that we have to commence now to fight back and stop being on defense, but to go on offense. One of the top 3 is the public education system in America, from the top down, from higher education right down to the first grade. We have to do something, because that's one of the only things that's gonna help us to be able to raise our children the way we want. If not, we're, like you said, we're sending them off to go get indoctrinated, or we have to go for an ungodly amount of money to send them to private school. But in that case, you're sending money, you're paying for private school, and you're still paying property taxes that support the public education system. Yeah. And they won't give you a break. They won't let you deduct your tuition from the property tax, which makes it even more. So they tell you, okay, if you don't like our system, fine, take your kid to a private school, but you're going to.
But you still got to pay. And look, that's where the last thing I'll say about it is that I'm to the point where I I think that the long game for the public school, even if we say, well, we're going to infiltrate the system and we're going to go in and we're going to try multiple different approaches, right? So parents pressuring, local, school boards pressuring, running for the school board, people trying to infiltrate where they're going through the system and all that. I said, number one, that is a long haul, but we can't really use the example of the past and how long it was for them, because the conditions are dramatically different. And the main one that's different is that it's so bureaucratic now, because that's the kind of people that got in there. It was the people that are power hungry Marxists who get in there. They set up the bureaucracy in such a way that it makes it practically impossible. And not only the process to change, but even more, that as you go through to even qualify to get there, it's Clockwork Orange, eyes wide open, dumping crap in your brain. And I said, I think that it needs to, no matter what we do, that I think that we need to get to the point where when churches get together locally that are bothered by this, and parents and organizations and things like that, one of the things that they need to do is say, if we can't beat this, and even on a local level, which if we can't do it on a local level, what chance do we have here at national? But if we can do it at a local level, we need to come up with some kind of a plan that says that we recognize that we will have to continue paying those taxes until we win. We'll continue having to do that, and we will have to pay for tuition. And we need to come together to figure out, even with the different schools, different denominational affiliations, whatever, to have some kind of a coalition that would be able to say, what can we do to help them? Because this is an exodus. We are either saying that you got to stay in tranny land in there, or that you're coming to the school with no help, and maybe you can't. Maybe it's even as simple as schools that don't have carpooling. How can we work together to figure out carpooling or even busing systems for the private school system? These are things that would take a lot of coordination and people from all different places to network together to figure out the most cost-efficient way of dealing with this. But I feel like if we just say, well, let's do the long haul, then in the meantime, little Jimmy and little Sally are going to be in a world where they're, kids in the class and stuff, and their teachers may even be talking to them about maybe, you should lose your breasts. Maybe you're a tomboy. Maybe you should, cut your boobs out. Or, oh, you're into ballet as a boy. Maybe you should get your wiener cut off. Like we can't, or have a sleepover, with the boys dressed up as a girl, or don't question if somebody goes in the bathroom, no matter what it is.
Right.
And we can't do that. And so whatever that is, that's a conversation that needs to be had. But Joe, dude, you are the man. I am so happy. I love your energy.
Oh, you're the man.
I love your energy, man. I love the intensity that you bring to this, the depth and the passion, right? The commitment to the Lord that you bring to what you do. And so let our listeners know real quick how they can learn more about you and how they can catch you and Joe on the show there over at the Frontline.
Absolutely. Can I leave you with one quick thought?
Yes, man.
Because you mentioned the long slog and the long march. Okay, that's what they did for the last 100 years. Mm-hmm. We do not have to adopt that. Okay, because their whole edifice is built on lies. It's built on sand. It's built on deception. Okay, we don't have to go through the long slog like Gramsci recommended 100 years ago. We could stop it now by simply grabbing our stones, going down on all these fronts and saying to them, the answer is no. The answer is no. We can stop it. We don't have to wait 100 years to reverse this stuff. We could do it tomorrow if we would get together and grab our stones. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah. And thank you, Jeremiah. You could find Joe and I, Joe Resinello and Joe Pasillo, at the Frontline with Joe and Joe. Now, we're right now, we are primarily on YouTube and Facebook, okay? But our mutual friend, the powers that be, he's got us all over the place, which is great. So I know that we're on Spotify.
Even podcasts. Yeah, I was going to say podcast too now.
Yeah. So Joe and I, our attitude is we show up and do the show. And we were blessed by God to have Jonathan come into our lives. And many things that have happened. We're hopefully going to be on the radio in another month and a half, AM radio up in Connecticut doing an interview show. We're working that out right now. It's all moving along by the grace of God. But you can find this at the Frontline with Joe and Joe on Facebook and YouTube primarily. And please like, subscribe, and share. We got a lot of great. We did an interview yesterday. I think your audience might like, Jeremiah. Catholics need to be fearless. We did an interview with Austin Roos. That's up on both our YouTube and Facebook page. And yes, so we're doing the same thing you are, brother. We're on the same team. We're fighting the same fight. I'm glad to see when I watched you when you went one of your videos recently with Tim Flanders and Kennedy Hall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's what we got to do. We all got to together and create the type of the type of fellowship, just like in the Lord of the Rings, like a new fellowship that goes out there and fights against Sauron.
Yeah.
That goes in and ultimately defeats Sauron. That's what we have to do, all of us Catholic guys.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you, man. I'm super glad that you were on the show. I hope you have an amazing day, man. And I can't wait to talk to you again, dude. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you. Let's see if we can shoot for Thursday.
All right, man. God bless you, bud. Have a good day. All right.
God bless you, Jeremiah.
All righty, everybody. How dope is that, by the way? How dope is that? Well, no, I don't want to do that. This show's not over. The show's not over yet. We're only just beginning. We are only just beginning, guys. That's just the way this goes. Let's see if I think that I have it set up here. I think I've got it set up. Let's see here. I'm going to drop that. Drop that right off. I'm going to drop the zoom right off. Quit that bugger and see if that helps. Because I'm having some drop frames, which is a bummer. It's not too bad. It says 3%. That's still more than I want. So, all right. Real quick, we're moving on. So, okay, by the way, yesterday, did you miss me? I missed you. I missed you guys so much, man. I did. I really did. I missed you. It's the highlight, one of the highlights of my day. It doesn't, obviously does not match the highlight of seeing my beautiful wife, waking up to her. Love that. And my amazing kids, my little guys, my older ones, the whole gang, the whole kit and caboodle here at Paleocrat, the Castle Paleocrat here at Team Tiny Dancer headquarters in Grand Rapids. And so, but apart from that, apart from the obvious, right? Family, super close friends, that sort of a thing. Apart from that, you guys. So this right here, it's a way I love waking up to it every day. I love jamming out, and I missed it. And yesterday, I would have probably talked a little bit more about this, about old Martin Luther King Jr., because it was the day, to celebrate him and stuff. I don't really do that. I don't do that. I don't celebrate that. I'm also somebody who says, well, I had my differences, because I know about the kind of groups he was involved with, the sympathies to Marxism that he's got, that kind of a thing. And so, and I also understand the mythos, the American mythos, even around Rosa Parks. And so founding fathers. So I'm not just talking about Rosa Parks. I'm talking about founding fathers too. I got in trouble. I bet you there's some people who don't like that I'm busting the chops of the founding fathers and saying that, look, I'm not the, I like Thomas Jefferson, but I don't sit there and idolize the guy. He's not a sacred cow to me, man. Like, I'm not going to stand or fall on that. Same thing with Benjamin Franklin. The guy was a cultist. He was a total bizarro guy. When it came to religion, he's basically, a Mormon with the alien crap and stuff. So, I mean, he had some really weird beliefs, man. They were I know at least Franklin was one of those Hellfire Club people. And if you don't know what Hellfire Club is, it's one of those crazy underground cities. You go down in there, it's structured in such a way, it's all demonic looking. And they had these areas, these altars, essentially, where you had sex priestesses that were there. I mean, you want to talk, it's like eyes wide shut. So, I mean, some of these guys, eyes wide shut. Same thing with George Washington. George Washington, for the things that are great about George Washington and the role that he played at the same time. And look, you need to be able to say stuff that's critical and yet still recognize the accomplishments that somebody did. Friends and enemies alike, praise where it's due, criticism where it's due. But and sit there and say George Washington, he was given the option to say, what was it, King's Church that said he wasn't going up for communion, and they said, well, if you're not going to come up for communion, what are you doing coming? Well, he chose not to take communion and not go, or the Reagans with the seance crap that went on, I mean, so there's that kind of stuff, or Abraham Lincoln, the fact that he was not a Trinitarian. And I don't think he even believed in going to church. That kind of a thing. So, I mean, but you have to be able to see the negative. So I'm showing this to show that it's not just me dogging on Martin Luther King Jr., but the fact is, sealed FBI audio tapes allege, and it's not just they're sealed and that they allege, it's that even his biographer, like one of the most famed biographers, has admitted that it's really bad. It's really bad. Had affairs with 40 women and watched while a friend raped a woman. And we're talking about really, really depraved sexual behavior. Not even a little bit depraved. I'm talking mad depraved. And not only that, but as a journalist, as somebody who writes and is somebody who speaks, it really bothers me when somebody plagiarizes. I don't like that crap. Okay? And if you're gonna cite somebody, cite them and give them credit for when you cite them. All right? Don't just steal their junk. Martin Luther King Jr., major time plagiarizer. Major time. Maybe only outdone by Joe Biden. That's it. And so you sit there and I'm like, people are like, well, what'd you do for Martin Luther King Jr. Day? And I'm like, nothing. Nothing. I didn't like go and watch any speeches and stuff. And I'm like, we got to get away from this idea. And again, it's like, I understand the need for a national mythos. I understand that. You need the myth, right? You need it, but you can't be naive. You can't be naive about it. You got to say, especially when it's real people. When it's real people and you've mythologized real people, you have to be honest about what went on behind closed doors. Learn a little bit more maybe about Rosa Parks and company. You should. I mean, people should, just like you do with the founding fathers. And it's not going to make me friends on either side of the political aisle. I've got people on the right that are like, dude, you're dogging the founders. And I'm like, because they were people. Because they were human, okay? And because I don't believe that me kissing toes of anybody is, other than Jesus Christ, would be the means and best method of trying to advance what I believe to be true, good, and beautiful. Simple as that. So I don't think we would have talked about it yesterday anyway. I think I probably said more about it today than I would have if I just talked about it yesterday. But I want to talk today. And as a reminder, if you're in the comments section, comment away. Make it good. Make those comments real good, because after the show, we're going to go ahead and highlight some of those. We're going to make a video. I may end up having to do it live because it is pretty labor intensive and time consuming to take screenshots of all of them, line them up inside of the frame like I do with these pictures here and stuff like that. And so it is a difficult thing. It's not an easy thing. It takes a long time. Then you got to upload it. And so I may do a live video. And if I do, I'll notify people on Telegram first. So if you want to start following me and you say, man, I really want to follow me where there's the least amount of censorship. Follow me there. Because I'm anticipating. I'm saying, look, I'm already getting some issues from Facebook for ridiculous crap too. Ridiculous nonsense too. And so you sit there and say, Facebook, YouTube, oh, okay. Yeah, Twitter. I've dealt with so much nonsense with Twitter. I don't even deal with it. I don't even get my news there anymore. I said, no, I don't need it. Don't need it, man. If it goes on Twitter, it'll eventually get there over to Telegram. And so I just use Telegram. It's my primary engine for receiving news from multiple different sources. But I want to talk today here about this. Facts don't care about your feelings. Material conditions do not care about your idealism. I know a lot of people. I promised you that we're going to talk about and shift focus so that we're not so caught up with current events, and we're not so exclusive about simply talking about ideas, but that we're talking about ideas in such a way that the everyday person can put them into action. The everyday Johnny Q and Sally Sue. And not just them, though. Not just them. Right? But also, what would it be called? The culture-bearing strata, something like that. The influencers, right? The creators, these people, that they would begin to not just simply create things that are abstract and thoughtful and everything else and lofty and ideal, but showing how these things can actually be put into practice. Because we're at that place in this world right now where and you could see the evidence of this with this motto of, when Trump came in, to people say, he's not all talk, he's a man of action. And Trump always saying, these people are all talk, no action. that kind of a thing, that was an evidence. That was a fruit of something underlying. And that was that once we're in that world of absolute politics, where you have the hard left and the hard right arise, where you have the right and the center, the establishment, as it's been described, the establishment begins getting crushed in between these massive glaciers from the right and the left, and all of this, you're going to have people less concerned with things that are abstract. It's not that those go away. We still want to know abstract things, immaterial things. That's all essential. It's that the emphasis upon them is less. So all of that is still part of you. You know, it's like if you live in a day and age where every day it was peaceful and calm, and you could, talk to anybody for, you could have somebody in the room who might believe something way opposite from you, and they're part of a political party different from you, and you could have a decent conversation, argue, maybe even get heated, but after it's over, you probably call them, say, hey, man, I'm sorry about that. Or, hey, cheersing with a bottle of beer and drinking and saying, dude, we just love having fun, don't we? And there's a difference between that world and the world where posters come out to say, shh, loose lips sink ships kind of a thing. And maybe you need to be careful about who your kids are hanging out with, or even what you say around your kids, because the conditions around you, the material conditions, are different. Now, in both situations, that part of you that wants to be able to talk and ideally would prefer it to be that way is still there. But in one, due to the conditions around you, it's more realistic for you to do, okay, safer, right, for you to do. And in the other one, it's not. And we can see this, and we can see it right now. But I bring it up because we live in a crazy world right now where here's an example. Now, I mentioned this, and I hope you're paying attention, because I said, look, man, this guy, GOP Representative Meyer, and I have that video. I created a 30-minute clip out of my conversation about turncoat Peter Meyer and political violence and the art of the smear. Okay, the art of the political smear. I made a 30-minute video out of that. And I have it currently set to unlisted, I believe, over on YouTube. But you can find the link. You can find it. I posted it over at Telegram. And I'll probably make it available publicly today. But make sure, go to Telegram. You can watch the video. It's great. And it's my rant about it. So, but here's the thing. Here's somebody who in an ideal situation, right? An ideal situation, Peter Meyer may have been able to say, even just to say, that the buck has to stop somewhere with Trump, and he believes that Trump was responsible for inciting things, and he needs to bear responsibility for that. Now, it would be debatable on what that means or the timing of things, but in our current time of absolute politics, where two political engines are crushing into each other, and it's this zero-sum game at this point. It is. It's a zero-sum, winner takes all, full enchilada type thing. That when that's the case, you can't just come out with that. And if you do, you're going to, I don't know, say what he did and say that the impeachment vote may have ended his career. And it's true. It's true. It probably did. In fact, we promised that we're going to make sure, and I don't want to, beat a dead horse over this. You can go ahead and you can see it for yourself. Okay, go check out that video already, and so you can go ahead and do that. But the thing is that in ordinary circumstances, you may have been able to say stuff like that, but you simply can't now. You simply cannot now. So, all right, you've got here, and by the way, this is an example forwarded from the Paleocrat Diaries Wolfpack chat. Okay, so the Wolfpack chat, you would have to look it up on that. But you got people like David French. And this is why we got to go after sacred cows. In part because we have to realize, number one, you can't live this way in a world of absolute politics. You can be the guy all day long that tries to play this game. It ain't going to work. Number two, we got to this place of absolute politics because of people like this. Now, they don't want to admit this. They don't want to admit this. A lot of conservative and libertarian people, and I hate to say this, but a lot of conservative and libertarian people, they think that the tools that we used before, we just need to go back and just use those tools. That's all it is. And that, they don't see the continuity and the connection between where we are now and the ideas of liberalism, classical liberalism, rationalism, materialism. They don't understand it. They don't. I know very few that would even be able to have a conversation about that. To go, yeah, okay, well, it's a consequence of materialism. It's a consequence of rationalism. It plays its course. It has its cycle, its life cycle. And when it does, you're going to see the rise and fall, for example, of democracy. That's inevitable. In fact, there's many high cultures. What is it? We're in the 8th one or something like that. There's many high cultures that have already come and gone. And each one of those, you can see the cycle and you go, wow, okay, so nothing's new here under the sun. It plays its cycle there. But here you got David French, okay? The evidence that January 6th was a Christian insurrection just grows and grows and grows. Number one, he's lying through his teeth. This guy's talking out of his rear end, okay? He's like one of those, when he talks, it's just poopy farts. It's all it is. This guy is a joke at this point, David French. I'm sorry, I don't have more respect for him. I just simply don't. Combating this perversion of the gospel has to be a top priority. Here's another issue. That he doesn't understand that we're here in part because of people like him. And what that is this, is that the idea, the perversion of the gospel has to be a top priority. It's not just heresy. It's an active threat to the peace and security of the nation. He is operating off an assumption that of sola scriptura or some brand of that. And in that world, it's a difficult thing to determine with any degree of authority at all, especially one that's like top priority. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You say it's heresy. One person's heresy is another person's orthodoxy. And what are you going to say? Well, I read the Bible and the Bible says this. They're going to say the same thing back at you. They're going to say the same thing back at you. Why do you think we're even in a place at all? Why there are so many denominations? I used to be able to say this. Back when there were phone books. I said, think about this. Back in the day and age of phone books, you could open these, for our young audience, there are books you could open up and it's got all the phone numbers and businesses and stuff like that. Maps. There was all different categories. They were, normally pretty decent size depending on where you lived. But if you opened it up, there was an entire section on churches. And included, even stuff like synagogues and mosques and stuff like that. But you would primarily, it would have Christian, and you would have tons and tons and tons and tons of churches. All different denominational affiliations. Those denominational affiliations determine what they believe is obligatory. And the thing is, not everybody is involved with the denominational affiliation. Some people are independent. Some are home churches. Some grew from that. Some were part of denominations and left and started their own thing. I knew a church that did that. I was part of one that did that. I was in Assemblies of God before, and they ended up leaving and following a guy who went by the term bishop. Who made him a bishop, by the way? Who made him a bishop? Where did he get that authority? And could you just say, well, I'm a bishop too? Who decides that? Where'd you get that authority? Authority is not self-assumed. That's the crazy thing about this. So this guy's very concept of authority is bass-ackwards. He doesn't understand. His fundamental ruling assumption regarding the Bible and who and or what and or how heresy is determined, okay, anything to do with that and how it's enforced or prioritized, it's completely defective. It's impotent. It cannot do anything because what we've seen with denominationalism and the schism, rampant schism of Christianity in the United States is not an anomaly. It's not like well, I don't understand how it happened. Well, of course you do. Because if your assumption is, well, it's me and my Bible, I have my idea, they have their idea, we pray about it, we try our best to understand, and we come to different conclusions, who's right, who's wrong? And based on what authority? Who says? And who says I got to do anything about it? What if I still think you're wrong at the end of the day? That's exactly why we are here. Because at the end of the day, the social theory that he's operating off of has no way to contain this. No way to even slow it down. And if he goes, well, we need to talk about orthodoxy more. We need to talk about what's true more. And you go, that's what they're all saying. Every one of those people are saying the same thing as you. Yeah, but they're wrong. Based on what authority, homie? Based on what authority? At some point, you can press it back and back and back, but you find out that their notion of liberalism, their notion of separation of church and state that flows from this, and their notion of everybody's their own guru with special conduit to lead them into all truth, even though it's contradicting left and right, that eventually it's going to lead to social chaos. It's going to lead to religious balkanization. It's going to lead to all of this stuff. Division is inevitable, and you cannot fix it that way. You can't fix it that way. It's like democracy. People saying, well, we've got a political solution to this. I believe we've got a political solution to this, but not an electoral one. The situation we're in now. We don't have an electoral solution to this. We could have an icebreaker, right? A strong man like Donald Trump. We could have that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And I said, because democracy, and people can quibble all day long about the idea of Republican democracy. I do too. There's a difference. There's a difference. And yet at the same time, there's a democratic element to the idea of republic, and the notion that a republic can't wipe itself out, right? Or that a democracy can't vote itself out of existence is phony baloney. Democracy is worse than a mirage. It's a ticking time bomb. And I quoted Yaki on this from Imperium. In very fact, democracy was self-destructive. It has nothing whatever to do with equality, representative government, or anything of the sort. It put the entire manpower of the nation into the battlefields. But democracy perishes with rationalism, proceeding either to authoritarian rule, like that of Napoleon or Mussolini, or else it was a mere cover for unhampered looting by the financier. Yes. You say, dude, look at where we are right now. It's exactly true. It's exactly true, 100%. And that's what I'm saying. These are consequences. And we got to get out of this idea of saying that it's like, that it's something that is foreign. It's a sickness that is foreign to our system. Many of our problems, and I would even say most, are in fact developments and outgrowths of ideas, these seeds that have been planted a long time ago in our system. Religious, political, cultural, you name it. And that's why history books in the United States, even ones that are defended by the 1776 Commission, that kind of thing, even that, to sit there and be like, they're going to talk about the continuity of progress, American progress. And they're going to show the development of these ideas, and they look at the entire thing within, we went from A to B to C to D, and now we're going to Z, and they're saying, well, no, this isn't organic to it. This letter, it was inserted. That's not organic to it. And the argument from the other side is, yes, it is. And the courts have indicated, yes, it is. And are we really going to go back? Is that even what you want? Is that how that works? How long have we been told over and over and over? We just got to get back to the roots of that. How many David Bartons do we got to go through? Bless his heart. But how many David Bartons are we going to have to go through before we finally sit there and say, you know what? There are many great things that we can see from this that we need to retain. But there's the idea that we're going to go back to this place and somehow get Pandora's box and everything back in there. Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But I said, I said, it's kind of funny coming from him, because He suffers from a heretical take on separation of church and state, a heretical view of religious neutrality, or read indifferentism. So he says that the state shouldn't have any concern about that. It's passive. 3, a heretical advocacy of political and cultural polytheism, the idea that in our culture it's okay that we have a ton of gods. God doesn't care about that sort of thing. He changed his mind. People used to die because of that. But God, changes his mind. He used to be the real mean God in the Old Testament with all those rules. But later on, he became the hippie homeboy Jesus, the cotton candy Jesus. And I'm like, if that's possible and true, then why would you be surprised that 2,000 years later, people are talking about the tranny cotton candy Jesus, passing lemon drops and lollipops, all the liberal nonsense all over the place? Why would you be surprised? In fact, not surprised. Why would you even doubt it? And we have to accept certain things that are true. Now, this sounds nonsensical. And I know people share this because they're like, well, look at the hypocrisy of it. And I say, no, this is in fact inevitable. It goes back to the Yaki quote. Research shows that protecting democracy requires eliminating the figures with authoritarian tendencies who have shown that they pose a threat to it. So, what does this mean? Put simply, democracy by itself cannot keep democracy going, because there's always the threat that people will vote democracy out of existence, and they will do it democratically. And then, can you vote democracy out of existence? And if it gets to the place where democracy is on the line, does democracy remain consistent and say, well, it is the way the people voted? Or instead, will they themselves become authoritarians and have the tendency to do this? So basically, you have the rules of the game, and they're going to go outside of the rules. They're going to go above those rules, and they're going to do the very thing they're condemning in order to preserve the thing that they are insisting is good. I understand that, actually. I understand that. Because especially with things like democracy, because at the end of the day, democracy is internally self-destructive. It is. It's self-destructive. It's got one of those self-destruct buttons. And after a while, people over and over and over throughout history want to push that button. And the elites who like the way it works, those people, and it's not even because it's democratic, but because they're the aristocrats in the democratic system. They're the rulers. They're the elites. They want to control it. And the only way to maintain that control with the mirage of democracy, the phantasm, it's fake and phony, the only way to do it is for them to use the very tendencies that they're claiming that they're getting rid of. We need to get rid of that strong man over there. We need to get rid of all of those people who believe in using power in order to get what they want. And how are you going to do it? With power to get what we want. Oh, but we're doing it for democracy. We're not doing it for our aristocratic ends. We're not doing it for our elite money-grubbing ends. Oh, no. No. And I don't want to bust too hard on the aristocrats. Okay? I don't want to bog too hard on the aristocrats. But because it's inevitable. But this is the thing, is that I can accept the existence of a natural aristocracy, a natural hierarchy. That's obvious. There's no denying that. People who deny that are out to freaking lunch, cuckoo crazy weirdos. But if someone admits it, like foreign policy, by example, foreign policy and the people that they're citing the research for and the people they're encouraging to enforce this and eliminating, not just getting rid of it, eliminating. You can't let them play that game. And if you do, you got to say, okay, yeah, so at least the rules of the game, we both know that it won't be democratic. It will be something outside of that. Okay, that's great. I'm one of those, I don't know, Catholic Imperium guys. Great, wonderful. And they're like, well, no, you got to make it democratic. And I'm like, you're not. You aren't, because we're not at that place anymore. The fail-safes are gone. We're at a place now where those political units are crashing and bashing and everything else right into each other. Boom, 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 boom. And it's ultimate war, all-out war, zero-sum game, winner takes all. That's where it is. And it's not happening. It's not happening legitimately through the democratic process, which is why right now there's the big fear and there's the big concern, and I think very reasonable position to maintain that there were some stuff going on in the, precincts. There was some stuff going on with the whole process. You don't believe it anymore. And we're up against this. Again, this is one of those things where they're falling back on the catchwords. They're falling back. And the further we get away from originalism, right? This idea of, well, we need to go back to the original intent. The further we get away, the more precedent is set over time, the more dramatic that move is, which means it's more unlikely. It's a more complex thing. And I'm okay with that. What I propose is definitely going back. Okay? Definitely going back. At the same time, we have to say, well, is it more likely to go back within your own system? How do these political models operate? If you have a democracy, or you have a republic, or you have a monarchy, and you have those things go, or a dictatorship, and you have those things go, after a certain point in that cycle, if it ever does change, in what direction does it change? We have precedent for this, by the way. None of that is new. But we get to the weirdo place like this, where Biden picks transgender woman as the assistant health secretary. So this dude here is going to be the assistant health secretary. He appointed him, the current post, by Democratic Governor Tom Wolf, making him one of the few transgender people serving in elected or appointed positions nationwide. He won past confirmation by the Republican majority. So here we go. Look at this. So we're at a place, we're at Looney Tune land. We're at Looney Tune land, and people are thinking that this is not in any way connected with liberalism. And I'm not talking leftism. I'm making a distinction between this. I'm saying liberalism itself, classical liberalism. Our very notion of certain liberties and where we place their source, our concept of rights and where we place that source, our concept of political power and authority, and where we place its source. Its views of rationalism, its views of materialism, its views of progress. And say these things are all working in this demonic symphony to create the sounds of, this. And this. Because it will get to the point where people are going to say, CNN guest is cheering on censorship this morning. Quote, we have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers. By the way, talking about, oh boy, if you want to follow me, Paleocratdiaries.com, or you need to go to our Telegram channel, and that's just at Paleocrat. You can find me right there. So there are people on YouTube, for example, that have a larger audience than daytime CNN. Well, ain't that a bummer, man? Ain't that a bummer for CNN? They shouldn't suck so bad. We're going to have to figure out the OAN and Newsmax problem. These companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such, bringing them into tens of millions of homes. Ugh. I'm not sure that we need CNN in any of those homes. In fact, I'm not even sure that we need Verizon, AT&T, or Comcast in tens of millions of homes. I think we got to get those guys out. Say, hey, I'm sorry, I don't need your crap anymore. You've done nothing but cause me trouble. The world that was around before you is wiped out. It's just toast. It's gone. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. And I want it back. I think we mentioned this last week. Top lawyer talking about enlightenment camps. Because here we are again. Because democracy. They're like, well, we have to act democratically. Well, how do you deal with it? We got to put people down. Inconsistent because their worldview is actually incoherent. Their ideas of the world, their ideas of authority, what people have the right to do, what they believe people have the right to say, what they believe people have the right to think, it's incoherent and it doesn't work. Because eventually it will lead to, I don't know, where we are now. And as it leads to where we are now, it's going to end up having tons and tons of problems. And they're going to sit there and say, well, we need to, really get involved in elections. And everybody's got to get involved. And we're going to have to go to door. And then we're going to have to send stuff out in Facebook. And then we're going to have to wrangle everybody up. And we're going to have to do tons of money and millions of dollars and everything else. And then eventually it's going to have to get to the point where we have foreign nations looking at the vote. And, I don't know, playing little tiddlywinks with it. And if that doesn't work, we need to put these people down. Maybe they need to go through some kind of a camp. I don't know. What would you call those things? What would you call that? They need to go to a re-education camp where they're around other people just like them. And we're going to need to go and do the clockwork orange in the eyeballs. Putting the little drops in the eye. Look at the images. Where are we at? And we're right there. We're there right now. I'm not talking about some weird dystopian future. I'm saying right now. Think about this one. It's another one of my posts, by the way. Another one of my posts. I said the libtard logic here is off the charts. Just imagine the editors informing Christina, the writer of the article, that her op-ed was going to be published over at the Washington Post. Quote. So I said, just imagine, right? The article is called, "To Understand Trump's Support, We Must Think in Terms of Multiracial Whiteness." Multiracial whiteness. I got you. Okay. So they're talking about lots of racist black people, lots of racist. And isn't it weird? There's the incoherent thing again, that you cannot be a racist. You cannot be a racist unless you're white. But yet, you got people, multiracial whiteness going on here. How did that happen? Kind of a funky deal, if you ask me. Okay. So, sorry about that. So what do they say? I said, look, it's kind of like this. I said, imagine the conversation. Imagine, because it has to go through a board of people. So editorial board, they're talking to each other, and they're like, well, it sounds like a good idea, man. Yeah, man, multiracial whiteness. Okay, dude, we got to talk about this. I said, imagine the letter. Imagine how happy Christina was. I said, here's the imaginary letter. Quote, "Great article, Christina. It's just like that one Chappelle Show episode where Dave was a black and very blind leader of the KKK. Maybe all those blind and very racist multiracial whiteys with the Proud Boys will wise up and follow Chappelle's example. For when his eyes were opened to the fact that he was a racist black person in an interracial marriage, he did the right thing and he divorced his white wife. Because she was an N-word lover." That's what it said on the show. Dave Chappelle, comedian. He's a guy in the Klan. He's got the hood on and everything. Very few people know the truth about him. He's blind in the skit, right? In the sketch, he's blind. And he's sitting there and he's a primary driver. He's one of the main people writing books. Totally racist, leading the KKK. KKK's all over him, man. They love his stuff, but nobody's ever seen his face. And he hasn't either. And neither is his wife, who's also blind. Because apparently they went to a blind school. And when they were in the blind school, the teacher said, well, it was the era, we thought he'd do better and the other kids would do better if he thought he was a white person. And so he's been thinking that the whole time. And at the end of the thing, he's speaking in front of a bunch of Klansmen, and they say, take your mask off, man. Take it off, the hood. And he takes it off, and everybody, and the gas people are puking. Blah. And he's like, well, white power. He's doing all that crap. And then in the end, you find out, well, where is he now? What's he doing? Well, he divorced his wife. Why? Because she loved black people. So you would have to say, I'm hoping that the people who are black, I'm really hoping that the people who are brown, all the Cubans, all the Mexicans, all the Chinese people, all the Jews, all of them, man, all the different races, I really hope that they break up with these really racist people who, are accepting of all the races and stuff. And who has a leader that's not even white. Oh, it's just a big con. It's just a big ploy. What a freaking joke. Oh, yeah, hashtag. When liberal logic really is the joke. Yeah. It's okay. Running out of time, so I'm going to skip over some of those. Right here, Saul Alinsky. And people will be like, why are you quoting Saul Alinsky? Because he makes a good point here. And he talks about what it would be like, what would be required for political control. And he goes through healthcare, poverty, religion, class warfare, you name it. He's got a whole bunch. And he says it's difficult to free fools from the change that they revere. That is especially true. Now, it's not just true of people. It's especially true of those who are religiously devout. Because it's a good thing that sometimes can go awry. They're devout. They revere the past. They have heroes. They have saints. So, and they want to go back to tradition, and it's the best they know. So they say, well, we need to get back to, 1776, or we need to get back to 1980, or we need to go back even to 2016. And I said this, Christendom 2.0 will not look or feel like America circa 1776, 1980, or 2016. So what do we got to do? Get used to eating the meat and spitting out the bone. Take the part that's good and scrap the part that's bad. And don't sit there and think you got to carry the sacred cow with you because you shouldn't be hanging out with sacred cows. Slay that bugger. Slay that bugger. And don't choke on that chicken bone. Spit it out, man. We've got demons to destroy. We've got idols to annihilate. Sacred cows to slay. Even and especially among conservative and libertarian Americanists. It's true. It's true. And we can see this. We can see this in reverse. We can see the way that people are going back and the very things that are now under consideration and under debate. You can see it because the idea that the establishment Republican view is not an outgrowth of conservatism, that was believed. That was believed by most conservative people during the Reagan, Bush, and W administrations. That was a natural outgrowth. That by and large was what the founders had in mind. It was a triumph. Not everybody, and not on everything, but generally speaking. And all of that, within a matter of years, all of that, Trump annihilated it. And most conservative people recognized the deviation that took place. They recognized the departure that took place under even people like Ronald Reagan, but especially HW and especially W. To sit there and say, look at the infiltration of the neocons. Look at the triumph of compassionate conservatism. Look at how that went. Look at how it went with trade. Look at how it went with your jobs. Look at how it went with schooling. Look at how it went with the Federal Reserve. Look at how it went with war. Look at how it went with almost everything. With the acceptance, by the way, they're accepting of things like, I don't know, Bilderberg and Bohemian Grove. Ain't no problem. Ain't no thing. But when we began to see that goes back even further because now you're talking about Kissinger and company. And it goes back further and further and further and further. To the point where people say, yeah, but the founders, and I say, Hellfire Club. Freemasonry, weird religions, Newtonian theology. Weird junk, by the way. And we're going to have to get used to this. Young America, and by the way, this narrative is toast. It's on fumes. Capitalism gives power to the people. Socialism gives power to the system, and it's greedy politicians. Do you know how many young people will hear that and go, dude, yeah, that's money down? Billionaire corporations just, 1, took away the ability of the president to reach millions of his supporters. 2, banned tens of thousands from monetary transactions and social media. 3, doxed thousands of people, got them fired, and ruined their lives forever. And yet socialism is still what conservatives are yammering about. It's right. It's not right versus left or socialist versus capitalism. It's the people versus the system and the billionaire globalist elite. Agree, disagree? Agree or disagree? I'll tell you what, though, that message right there, that played really good maybe when, National Review was first started. Or maybe during the 80s and stuff. But bringing that kind of thing back and getting people pumped up about that particular ism, or either of those isms, it's going to be a tough sell, especially in a day and age of absolute politics, because that ism right there, that ism is contingent. It is premised, or it's locked within a universe that is rationalistic, materialistic, and individualistic. And we're not there. Whether you want it or not. It's not that we don't have any of those elements. Again, remember what I said in the beginning. It's not that those other things have gone away. It's not like individualism has gone away. It's that the priority of the individual as compared to the group has diminished. People aren't talking about wanting to be an island right now. Even when they're wanting to be separate and being apart, those same people, a lot of them are saying, well, maybe I should check out the militia. Wanting to go to church and be part of a group. Because humans, that's what we do. Which again, not to be too redundant, but that's why the free rider is a problem. It's also why the free rider isn't as much of a problem as we thought. Because most of the time it's gobbled up by the group, by the superorganism, by the thing bigger than itself. Even the people who think that they're independent, and even the people who think they're individualistic, almost always end up thinking, talking, and acting very similar. In fact, so similar that you can recognize the kind of an overlap and make predictions about the groupish behavior that they're engaged in. It's true. It's true.
I'm going to post up some.
But we're going to have to get rid of folks like this. And only a couple more stories, man. We got about 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left. And by the way, I'm grateful you guys are along for the ride. Make sure all those comments, make them good. Make them good, make them hard, make them fun. Make them cute. Make them flattering, Flattery, one of my favorite brews, not going to lie. And so, make it good, though, okay? Make it good, make it short. And if it's long, you're going to have to just know that it's going to be summed up. You may not like how it's summed up, but however it is, post that comment. We're going to highlight them. We're going to talk after the show. Make a video, maybe even a live one, and that will be made. The announcement will be made with that on Telegram first, and then other places after that. So here we go. So we got to deal with this stuff. Oh no.
I'm going to post up some video of you dancing and doing your music. Let's talk about the spiritual aspect of what you do. And you'll probably do a little bit here before we get kicked off today.
Sure. So what I do is I practice something known as shamanism. And in shamanism, they sing, they dance, they drum, and they inform the community. They dress up in a way that chases off evil spirits. The singing and the drumming is about chasing off evil spirits because sound actually precedes electromagnetic activity. So when you sing and you drum, especially when you do so really loudly, you end up affecting the quantum realm. And this has been being done for thousands of years to ward off evil spirits, ward off negative timelines, and to basically bring positive energy. So part of the reason why I dress this way is because if we were going to have like a infiltrator or something like that, they'd be a witch, they'd be a sorcerer or something.
Oh, a witch or a sorcerer. By the way, this guy is he's the leader of the insurrection, by the way. He's the one in the media, they're always playing it. They're always playing this guy over and over and over. And I'm saying, we need to get rid of that guy. Here are a list of sacred cows. Look, if you're part of that whole thing and you're like, oh, dude, he's really onto something. I'm like, yeah, here's the thing, man. We can deal with you for a moment, but you're the guy that we're going to shame behind the doors and be like, dude, that guy's got to go. As soon as we're back in reality and out of Bizarro World, out of Clown Land, as soon as we're out of there, you guys are going to be the first ones that we're going to say, look, we don't want anything to do with these guys. So I'm putting you guys on watch right now. You got to know. I'm not like, oh yeah, the witches and the shamans and the warlocks. Oh yeah, that sounds really good. They're talking about all the energy. Did you hear this guy? Look at the illumination in his mind. Woo! Gotta go, man. Got to get out of here. Here's another group, by the way. And if you support these folks, if you support these groups, reconsider that. Reconsider that. Consider supporting Paleocrat Diaries. You can do so at paypal.me/Paleocrat, or you can go to the website, paleocratdiaries.com, and support it that way, or our Zazzle store, and you can buy some amazing stuff. But here's another one. Look, I'm not going to make friends with this. Okay, we're talking TPUSA or Turning Point USA. Right? You can see the development of this. You can see this is a world where they're embracing the, what's the one, man? The other, the MAGA tranny. Miss MAGA or some crap like that. Just ridiculous nonsense, gay dating apps and everything. And you sit there and say, because it's an outgrowth of it. Because it's an outgrowth of it. And look at the way that they get the girls all dressed up nice and sexy, shooting out money in the air. Boom, 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 boom. We're in a world right now that is in absolute politics, and these guys are throwing money into the air. What a joke.
Conservatives are not being censored online the way big conservative names have claimed. These big conservatives encouraging you to play the victim and blame the fact that you're a conservative for any difficulties are lying to you because they only care about fame and money.
Yeah, that one didn't last very long, did it? That one didn't last very long. And that's the kind of thing, man, you got to know that these go along with this. This is not somebody that's outside of the norm. This is not somebody, they may change their mind later. They may change their mind later and play the game because they understand how the establishment operates. They understand you got to ride the wave. They're the same people that will change their mind on a dime if there's a political advantage to it. They're just going to, there we go, because they want to ride atop that wave. For the money. For the money and the power. Here's another guy. If you're still listening to him, seriously consider stopping.
From a Jewish point of view, where we don't believe in the divinity of Christ, I think that there you can make an argument that the Gospels, which were written...
He was just a prophet. No,
we don't even believe he was a prophet.
What do you think he was? What do you guys think he was?
What do I think he was historically? I think he was a Jew who tried to lead a revolt against the Romans and got killed for his trouble, just like a lot of other Jews at that time who were crucified for trying to lead revolts against the Roman and got killed for their trouble.
So he became legend in story, and it became a bigger and bigger deal as time went on.
Yeah, he had a group of followers, and then that gradually grew, and then...
Do you think he was resurrected?
No, that's not a Jewish belief.
Okay, I just want to check.
Yeah, no, we're not into
You're not
we're not into miracle stories. No, that's
no?
No.
You don't have any miracles?
No, not by Jesus. Right? No? They're ones in the Old Testament. Ones? Yeah, you've got Moses splitting the sea and all that.
What do you think happened there?
What do I think happened there?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go with the Maimonidean explanation that there was. It says in the Bible there was a strong east wind. So there's a naturalistic explanation for a physical phenomenon.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So this guy's worldview, by the way, it's naturalistic. It's naturalistic, and again, I should have mentioned that's that wicked trifecta. Naturalism, materialism, okay? Rationalism, materialism. And you just sit there and you're like, okay, so you have these individuals who their worldview is not the future. It is not the future. We're at this place because of worldviews like this. We are at this place because of mass apostasy and the acceptance of it. I understand. I'm not one of those that says, well, you have to believe everything like me. But I am one of those that says, look, I think that a bad idea is a bad idea and it ain't going to get us where we want to go. And maybe it's the reason why we got where we are. And in this situation, folks like that, you better believe it. You better believe it. Don't forget, by the way, don't forget who he is and where he came from. Do not forget it. Anti-Trumper, man. Anti-Trumper. And again, it's one of those doing this number here, man. He knows it. He knows that he's playing it. The idea that he hasn't changed his tune. And you can find and say, man, the Ben Shapiro, he's really owning these liberals. Haven't you seen him do his little shtick with people where he's talking some smack? And I'm like, yeah, but then get into a deeper conversation about the origin of rights or where we need to go from here. And I'll tell you what, he doesn't begin, proceed, or end with anything close to taking a knee to Christ the King. Zero. Zero. And he'll say, well, obviously I'm a Jew. And I say, that's why I don't need to believe that your ideas and your worldview is going to even come close to what we need in a time like this. Happy for the giggles, buddy. Thanks. I needed those. I'm giggling myself to death over here. But sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. They don't want their illusions destroyed. They want to believe that, well, if we just keep following Prager, if we just keep following all of these groups that their worldview was liberalism, and they're the kind that will defend that. And they'll say, no, I'm the good liberalism. I'm the good one. That's where we came from, man. I'm the good liberalism. Those people aren't real liberals. I'm the real liberal. And I'm like, you're already starting from a position that sucks, dude. You're good luck. Good luck on winning that one, because now you've added a layer of complexity, and it's now going to require more of you in order to demonstrate that. Yeah, man, we're the real ones. It's like the old Catholics. Do you guys know anything about those? The term old Catholic, do you know anything? If not, the same principle applies here. Same principle applies. How about the Church of God of Prophecy? Do you know much about that? They'll sit there and say, we're the real one, the founder, the major person advancing it. Good luck with that. Layers of complexity, man. Layers of complexity, and people become accustomed to it. And so when you've got a paradigm shift like this, you say, well, where is it going now? Which direction? And I'll tell you where it's going. Christ the King. Because people have realized that as long as they're under an illusion, we've been living in a commercial now for how long? We've been living under this wicked effect of mass media that's just pumping in propaganda into our brains left and right every single day. All around us, everything we're engaged in is extraordinary degrees of propaganda. And more and more and more. And people want truth. They want beauty. They want what's right. So sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Like I said, you want to say this right here is an evidence of something that's not beautiful. Something that's not beautiful. In fact, visually speaking, it's grotesque. Technique has taken over the whole of civilization. Death, procreation, birth, all submit to technical efficiency and systemization. It's true. Everything. So we look at it and we go, man, every single dynamic of our life, civilization, death, procreation, all of it comes down to being technically efficient, to systematizing it. Technical. More and more and more. Glitter and glow. More intrusive. Over and over and over. Intrusive into the image of the landscape. More intrusive into the land. More intrusive into the skyline. More intrusive into the atmosphere. More intrusive into your life. More intrusive into the darkness where we would actually be able to enjoy it. More intrusive into the air that we breathe. More intrusive into the water that we drink. More intrusive into the church. The land. The ownership of land. People can say, well, you're talking about water, you're talking about air, and I'm like, and most of the people who make that argument are the ones that complain and say, well, Democrats say that we don't care about water and fresh water and clean air. That's ridiculous. And I'm like, well, then why are you complaining when you know a guy like me is saying that? I'm talking about getting people back to the land. I'm talking about straight up some of the good things, in fact, of the founders. Talking about even Jefferson. An agrarian balance of this, not just strictly manufacturing and textiles, but sitting there and saying, getting back to the land, placing yourself where you are. It's where cultures thrive, by the way. And you don't want that? You want a world where we're all plugged into the VR? You want that? Keep going down this road. because that's where it's going to land. That's where it's going to end. And you want to sit there and say, we can't peel it back. We can't peel it back. Well, that is just a flat out lie. And the reason why, we can look at a picture here and say, look at the beauty, by the way. Look at the elegance of these women and children. Look at the kind of dolls they've got. Look at the hair. Look at the way that the entire train is built. The art that went into this, the imagination, the symmetry of it all, the beauty of it all. And here's a quote. There's one metaphor of which moderns are very fond. They're always saying, you can't put the clock back. The simple and obvious answer is, you can. A clock, being a piece of human construction, can be restored by the human finger to any figure or hour. In the same way, society, being a piece of human construction, can be reconstructed upon any plan that has ever existed. Totally true. Totally true, by the way. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. We can go back and say, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And I say, go back. Press escape. Go back. Get out of here. We need to do this. But the question is, where do we go? Just saying back where? Do we want to go back to the exact place we came from and play the exact same game and think that somehow it's going to magically turn out differently? What principles are we basing it off of? I know people who will disagree with me, and there's a lot. But they'll say, well, you know what? No, our founding principles are entirely biblical. I don't believe that. You can't, somebody would need to show me how it's biblical that all of a sudden God doesn't care about publicly proselytizing satanic religions. Or that there's no religious test for office. It is one of the most robustly biblical positions that any covenant people, especially if they treat it like we're a second Israel or something, if that's true, on what is the social theory based on? If they say the New Testament, then we're in serious trouble. We could have a debate all day long about this. But they fall right back into that place where the God of the Old Testament is a meanie and he cares about all these rules. Like, I don't know, the only place in the Bible that talks specifically about bestiality. How about the only place in the Bible that speaks specifically about abortion? Or what to do in a situation where you have a difficult thing like the Me Too movement? The legitimate claims of that say that somebody can make an accusation and it's really difficult. It may have happened, in fact. It may have happened. But how do you decide it? In our system, we don't decide it. We just, and we have no recourse to God. You know, but they say, well, God just basically willy-nilly God. He's just basing it off of nature now. And you say, dude, that's the very argument that people used to talk about the percentage of penguin dudes that were, with each other. Or the percentage of animals that were. Insufficient. It's insufficient. Because we're broken people looking at a world that has been impacted by the fall. You can distinguish between the divine and sacred and what would be natural and say we can learn from this. But the idea that they can go against each other, give me a break. And if they can't go against each other, if they cannot go against each other, then which side do you fall on? The idea of people just saying, well, I think this is what nature is telling me, or the idea that this is what God says? The separation of church and state. You tell me. The understanding of that. What is the understanding of that? We can have that legitimate debate. I'll have people on. If someone wants to debate that and they want to come on and try to tell me that this is like the dopest system in the world and that none of it was, the fault of the system, that I've got it all wrong, I'm willing to have them on the show. Last thing. Whatever brought you on your knees yesterday will become your strength to stand up again tomorrow. Chain me, cane me, you'll never tame me. I love the image, man. It was given to me by one of the listeners. And it's true. So look, people can disagree. I'm throwing this stuff out there. If nothing else, a lightning rod. If you disagree, make your arguments better. Bring it on, son. Bring it on, sister. Okay? Friendly, we can debate this because we're both looking for a way forward. And we understand that our way forward, in fact, is going to require a lot of steps back. And we will have different models and different methods and different approaches as to not only how to do that or where to look for guidance, but also what we hope for. We're going to have our differences, but it's at the place. This is where we are. It is a pivotal, paradigm-changing time in American history, in world history, in fact. So where are you? What do you say? Make sure, of course, to send that. Oh, no. It's the end now. It's the end. It's all over. It's all over. I love you guys. I love you guys. And the ladies. I got to say that. I love the ladies. Most of our listeners are the ladies. And, we've got a lot that go to the store and they purchase the mugs, and they purchase the sweaters and the sweatshirts and all that stuff. So very grateful. And I'm really grateful that you tuned in today. Remember, again, of course, tomorrow we will begin again at 11. Make sure to go and follow me. Make sure to go and follow me over on Telegram at Paleocrat. And you can get a lot more information by going to Paleocrat Diaries at gmail.com. All right. And for some reason, man, I'm sorry for the glitchiness today. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure why that was. Okay. But it was. I mean, even right now, it's glitching. Okay. I know it is. I'm dropping frames like crazy up to the point where it's 5% of the show. 5% of the frames today were dropped. All right. Let me see if my wife is. Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure, but I want to have the kids come down. And remember, make your comments good. You can comment even after the show's over. Keep commenting. If you wanted me to answer any of the questions, we're going to make a video later. I'm going to have to be pretty quick, though, because old boy's voice, I don't know what caused it. Kind of losing my voice a little bit. All right, 'tis the season a little bit. 'Tis the season. I got to drink a lot of water. Got to drink a lot of water. And I'm not going to yell up there again. No, here they come. I heard it. I heard it. They're coming, man. I'm excited about that because I love it. I love it. So make sure to go check it all out. If you want to leave a comment, we're going to make a video later. If you want to keep up with stuff more regularly, of course, the website is the main one. But I'm cranking up the Telegram. That's a big deal. You can comment on there. I'm trying to figure out how to get the likes and reactions and all that jazz to get that on there as well. I like the platform personally. I use it. You'll see it in a lot of the frames that I have. You will see that. And so, go ahead. Check me out over at Telegram. I am Paleocrat. You can find the Wolf Pack, the Paleocrat. I think it's just the Paleocrat Wolf Pack. Is I think what it is. Or Paleocrat Diaries Wolf Pack or something. And so you got to go check that out. You can do that by seeing. Ooh, what's that? Wolf is sleeping. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I got my mega hot half Korean wife. Mega hot half Korean wife. And my little Louie. And little Lou. Okay, let me get here. I'm going to do split screen. All right, everybody. I love you guys. You got to get your head down here, baby. Oh, look at this. They even got Coco. Even got Coco in the screen, man. Our St. Bernard. For more information, you got to go paleocratdiaries.com. Check it out, especially for the unlisted show. It's the only place there in Telegram you'll find it. If you want to be interviewed, if you enjoyed that interview today, I hope you did. Go check out Joe and Joe. Frontline with Joe and Joe. You got to do it. You can find all that stuff and all different shows over at holyfaithmedia.com. If you like the podcast, you want to listen to this as a podcast, make sure to check us out. I think it's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Google Play. It's on all those. Make sure to check out also Paleo G's podcast. I uploaded a video just last night, as well as on Acast over there. as well as the Meaning of Catholic. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But if you want to be interviewed or you love these interviews, you got suggestions, speeches, you want me to come and talk, any other inquiries, paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. And until next time, as we do each and every time, never give up, keep on smiling, and memento mori. Yeah, boy. If I don't talk into microphones, I don't make that mad cash. Making all that money. Making that mad loot, right?
Mind control.
So we see the minority elite imposing their ideology on an unwilling and resentful populace. This causes a backlash. People get ticked off. The left is working long and hard to make us feel as if we've done something wrong. Worse yet, that we are the problem. Don't let people just rip on your heritage. Don't let people just rip on your traditions. Don't let people rip on your heroes. Stand up for what you believe, what made you who you are. So unless this disenfranchised majority begins standing up for what they believe in their heart of hearts to be true, I think we'd be left with nothing more than a dirge, and maybe a funeral procession.